So today let's get started with a new topic, that is Active Directory. Okay. So today's agenda. So I'm going to discuss about Active Directory. So I think most of the folks are from a non-IT background. So first of all, okay, I'll discuss for them what is Active Directory. Then after, okay, we'll come to Azure Active Directory. So Active Directory is a on-premises solution. Okay, your on-premises data center solution, but whereas Azure Active Directory is a cloud solution. Okay, and we'll also discuss the difference between both of them, and in between them, okay, so we'll see Azure. Simply I will call it as a AAD. AAD is nothing but a Azure Active Directory. Don't confuse with the shortcut names. So we'll also see the licensing models. Okay, so what are the licensing models we have, okay, on a Azure Active Directory level, and we'll also see how we can create the users and how we can reset the password and how we can enable the multi-factor authentication. Multi-factor authentication is nothing but, so whenever you're trying to log into any portal, apart from your password, it will ask you for additional OTP, right? That we call it as a multi-factor authentication. Additional authentication you are providing for your login. Okay. So these are the high-level things. Okay, we'll discuss. In addition to that, okay, if time permits, okay, we'll discuss some more. Okay. So just to start, for the people, okay, who doesn't know, uh, what exactly mean by Azure Active Direct, normal Active Directory. Let me walk you through this particular example here. Let's say if you take any organization, okay, within any organization, okay, so they manage the identity and access management. Okay, so Azure Active Directory is nothing but identity and access management. Okay, within the organization, if they wanted to restrict if they wanted to create any user account, or that particular user account, if they wanted to grant the permissions to specific department applications or specific department DLs, okay, we'll be achieving it, okay, using Active Directory. I'm just discussing about a normal Active Directory since most of the you folks are pretty new. Okay, so let me quickly give you some detailed examples here. If you see this particular example, let's say this is your organization, any organization, and if you have some starting from 10 employees to some 1,000 employees, whatever it is, within an organization you might be having a different departments. Let's say if any user joins any organization, okay, they will be creating a certain user account. Okay, so with your email ID, phone number, and your personal details, and you're joining to which department, and who is your manager, you're part of which project, everything, okay, you will be having a user profile, so that they will be registering under the Active Directory. Let's say after they creating your user account, you will be getting a username and password. Okay, so to grant a permission to your account, okay, so they can limited they can what do you say, upon the requirement. Let's say within an organization, we just discussed about we'll be having a different teams, like we have a developer team, testing team, finance team, marketing team, HR team, and support team. So these are the high level I just took it here. And let's say you're from a development team. Okay, so they will give you access to only one developer team projects only. And within a developer team also, let's say there are multiple projects. Let's say project is ABC, project XYZ, and if you join for a project ABC, and you will be given a access to only ABC project, you will be not having an access to XYZ project. So this way we can restrict the permissions, okay, with the help of this particular Active Directory, that is identity and access management. Okay, so you can manage your user access, okay, using this particular Active Directory tenants. Okay, same way, let's say I joined as a developer and I'm joining only for the ABC project, so I'm having access to only for this particular project, that is ABC. Okay, and the rest of the projects, okay, I will be not having access, and rest of the departments also I will be not having access. Because okay, if you join any organization as an HR, okay, for HR related application you might be having a different, and only HR related HR department related colleagues might be having access to those, applications. So this is on a high level. Okay, so how we can segregate the permissions, and how we can perform the access management, okay, for any active directory. So if at all if you wanted to use an active directory on your on premises, okay, you will be having a server called active directory domain services, ADDS we call it is, okay, which we will be doing on a on premises, like on premises data center. Okay, so and it's a like everything, okay, you have to manage it. Okay, we'll discuss about the differences also now. And before that, okay, let me quickly walk you through the document also here. I'll go back to the Microsoft Docs here. So Azure Active Directory fundamental documentation. I'll go back to the what exactly the Azure Active Directory here. So same as here you could see Azure Active Directory, we simply call it as a Azure AD or AAD also we can call. Okay, it's a cloud based identity and access management. I told you right, when you say Active Directory you can just say identity and access management. And since Azure Active Directory is a cloud based identity and access management, okay, which helps employee sign in and access resources in. So in additional details, okay, we'll discuss now, but on a high level, okay, coming to Azure Active Directory also. So it's like in a cloud-based identity and access management. That means everything will be managed by Microsoft. It's a managed service. Whereas with a normal Active Directory, which is hosted on your on-premises, that is ADDS. So you as an end user, okay, or a customer, you have to manage it. But Azure Active Directory is a managed service. Okay, we'll have a quick look. Okay, what are the features that we have on Azure Active Directory here? I'll go walk you through this certain document here. If you see here, so Azure Active Directory, okay, we simply call it as a AAD. It's a multi-tenant cloud-based directory and identity management. It provides the single sign-on access to the cloud applications and resources. Okay, so single sign-on. So single sign-on is nothing but, okay, we simply call it as a SSO also. So whenever you're working for any organization, okay, within an organization applications, okay, you will be having a single sign-on option. Whenever you try to log into any one of the internal application, by default, okay, they will navigate to your default Windows username and password. Let's say, okay, internally I have a 10 application. For 10 application, I can log in by single username and password. That is called single sign-on. Okay, so this single sign-on features, okay, which will present on a Azure Active Directory also, and it is facilitates developing apps with a global scope. Yes, okay, so we can authenticate the users from across the globe, and we can register the apps, okay, from the multiple regions also on this Active Directory level, and which also offers you this kind of additional features. Let me quickly discuss about these. Self-service password and group management. So once you create any user, right? Okay, like if the user forgot the password, okay, so we have a feasibility, okay, to reset the password of the particular user. That is self-service password reset. We call it is. Sometimes, okay, we call it as SSPR. Okay, and additional to that, okay, we also have a privileged account management. Okay, we call it as a PAM, or like by using this particular privileged account management, okay, we can monitor azure.com. Okay, if at all if you wanted to monitor, let's say since it is a free trial account, I'm simply able to see, okay, overall having access. Okay, so just hardly me and some other two other people. Let's say if it is your organization tenant and you wanted to monitor the traffic, okay, from the geography overall having accessing this particular Active Directory from which IP address. Okay, if at all you wanted to monitor the user traffic, okay, we can achieve it, okay, by using this particular privileged account management. But that also we'll see, and we'll also have a RBAC here, role based access control. If you remember on a subscription level, so we discussed about the RBAC, that is role based access control, providing a different permissions like a owner, contributor, reader, and different roles, right? Same as like an Active Directory also, we also have a different roles. Subscription level roles and Active Directory roles are completely different. Okay, I'll walk you through the what are the different roles that we have it here. In addition to that, okay, we also have a app usage monitoring. Let's say if you have registered any application, okay, on Active Directory level, we can monitor the usage of the particular application also. In addition to that, okay, we also have like a security monitoring and a device registration, alerting, and MFA. So device registration is nothing but, let's say if you have any mobile application, and that mobile application we can register with the Azure Active Directory, and you can just simply authenticate the users, okay, so from the Azure Active Directory user itself. And we can also have a security monitoring, and we can also create an alerts, and we can also have a multi-factor authentication. So these are the high level features, okay, which Azure Active Directory is having. In addition to that, okay, let's quickly walk you through the some more advantages here for Azure Active Directory benefits. So by using Azure Active Directory, okay, so we can reduce the cost and enhance the security with the self-service capabilities. That means when you host your Active Directory on your on-premises, okay, here, okay, we need to have a separate server, and within the servers, okay, we need to enable this particular feature called Azure Active Directory domain services, and it will include the cost and also self-service. I mean, like somebody has to manage this. But whereas by using this particular Azure Active Directory, we can reduce the cost because it's a managed service, and we don't need to worry about the security because Microsoft itself is taking care of the security. And within the Active Directory, we have multiple self-service capabilities. Like we can on our own we can create the users, on our own we can create, reset the passwords, on our own, okay, we can enable the multi-factor authentication, we can do many more things. And this also supports for iOS, Mac, Android, and Windows devices also. Yeah, so single sign-on to cloud and on-premises web apps. Let's say if at all if you wanted to authenticate the Azure Active Directory users to your on-premises applications, that also we can do. Okay, by enabling this particular single sign-on, that is we call it as a SSO. And we can also extend the Active Directory to the cloud. So let's say if at all if you wanted to migrate your on-premises Active Directory users to the Azure Active Directory, we can also achieve it. Okay, we'll have a detailed demo on that particular topic. And we can also have a protecting cloud and on-premises web applications. So if at all if you have hosted any application on a cloud as well as on-premises, okay, we can protect them, okay, by using this particular Active Directory services like multi-factor authentication, conditional access policy, and group-based access management. Okay, so these are the some of the advantages and benefits, I would say. And if you're moving ahead, let's quickly discuss about the certain differences comparing with your on-premises Active Directory with the Azure Active Directory. Okay, so I can also walk you through the Microsoft document here. Here you could see compare Azure AD with the ADDS. And if I come down, okay, here you could see what are the differences with the normal Active Directory to the Azure Active Directory. So here you could see multiple differences here. Okay, so maybe I'll share this document. Okay, you can go in detail, but on a high level, okay, let me quickly walk you through the some steps here. So when you go with an on-premises Active Directory, it's a traditional on-premises deployment. That means this Active Directory setup, okay, will be doing an on-premises, and we need to have a separate servers for this. And the cloud deployments of IaaS workloads that do not directly support Azure Active Directory. Uh, let's say, for example, if you are performing any, you know, IaaS related workloads, that means if you are creating any VMs or maybe any additional things, IaaS related resources, okay, that will not supported by this particular, on-premises Active Directory. So whereas compare with some of the benefits, okay, by using Azure Active Directory, compare with the ADDS, okay, let me quickly walk you through here. The first and foremost thing is the management, because Azure Active Directory is a managed service. You don't need to manage this particular Azure Active Directory, whereas you have to manage your ADDS, okay, with no infrastructure requirement. That means if you wanted to create your on-premises Active Directory, you have to create the servers, you have to enable this particular feature, and you have to manage each and everything. But whereas coming to Azure Active Directory is completely managed service, managed by Microsoft. And coming to the communication protocols, so communication protocols is nothing but like for the authentication, Azure Active Directory uses the protocols such as Salem. We call it SAML also, and we also have a Windows Federation Services, and we also have a OpenID Connect and authentication and auth for the authorization. So these are the some of the authentication mechanisms. Okay, so we can have for the communication and Azure Active Directory. And if you look at the directory lookups, okay, we also have Azure AD. Azure AD relies on a REST APIs over the STP and HTTPS. Let's say whenever you're trying to authenticate certain users, okay, for your Azure Active Directory, so it will be running on a REST APIs over the STP and HTTPS protocols. STP is running on a 84080, and whereas HTTPS are running on a 443. So we this particular federation feature by default coming with the Azure Active Directory. Okay, we'll discuss about what exactly the federation is about. Azure AD includes a built-in federation support. Okay, so by having a Azure Active Directory Federation services, okay, so by using a single tenant credentials, okay, we can access the multiple applications. Okay, we'll discuss about in Federation services in detail later. So these are the high level 2 to 3 differences that you can remember comparing with your on-premises Active Directory, Azure Active Directory. And coming to the licensing models, okay, so I think it is a earlier one. So Microsoft has made some changes here. So earlier we had like the 4 types of licensing models, that is free, basic, premium one and premium two. Now I think okay they removed this particular basic. At this moment we have free, premium one and premium two. Okay, so let me walk you through some of the licensing models here. If I go to the overview page itself, okay, so here I could see what are the licenses. Okay, Azure Active Directory free, premium one and premium two. And I think okay, pay as you go is for the B2C. We'll discuss about what is the B2C and B2B also. Okay, so let me quickly walk you through some of the advantages here. I'll go back here. So when currently whatever the Active Directory that we are using is a free trial offer. Okay, let me show you that here. I'll go to the portal. I'll go to the Active Directory here. If not, okay, you can just type it here as Anatrap. Let's say Active Directory. Okay, so this is Azure Active Directory, and you could see Azure Active Directory. And once it is loaded, okay, here you could see the license. Okay, so your license is at this moment okay Azure Active Directory free. If at all if you are working somewhere, okay, you can just navigate to your Azure Active Directory tenant, and you can see the licensing models. Okay, they might be using premium one and premium two. Most probably, if you are working for a well established organization, definitely they will be using premium two licensing models. Okay, so this is how okay you can check the license of your Active Directory. Let me come back here. So since we are from we are using a free offering. Okay, so within a free offering, okay, so we'll be having these features to can we can wherein we can practice. Like we can create a users and groups, and we can have a single sign-on feasibility, and we can also have a self-service password reset and some of the basic reporting. So these are all the features, okay, which I'm going to show you as a lab. Okay, maybe today and maybe tomorrow. In addition to that, okay, so these additional things also may be included in the free trial, like group based access management and self service password reset, application proxy, and it will also provide a certain SLAs, all those stuff. In addition to the free trial license, okay, so premium one offering and premium two offering are coming up with the additional benefits. Let's say access to hybrid application access. When you say hybrid, it's a combination of both your on-premises and cloud. Okay, so by going with a premium one, that is P1 offerings, okay, we can have a hybrid application access. That means if you have any application hosted on your on-premises data center, we can have an access of that particular. We can grant the permissions using Azure Active Directory to access that particular application. In addition to that, okay, self-service identity and access management, we can also have it here. Here, okay, additional thing security we can enable in a P1 itself, okay, which is not possible with the free offerings. Okay, and going back to the premium 2, okay, so here okay we have a additional to the premium one features are along with these features, okay, these are all like a additional. Even with the P1 also, these are all coming as a default, and in addition to that, okay, we'll be having these additional features. So advanced identity protection and privileged identity management. So here, okay, you can achieve this additional advanced protection. That means, so you can have a certain we call it as a PIM account, so privileged identity management. So using that account, what you can do is, okay, we can just simply monitor the entire Active Directory level logins, and whoever is having a administrative privileges, we can also monitor their activities, and we can also restrict them, okay, by doing something. Okay, this is the highest privileges, okay, that we can perform by having the P2 offering. So if at all, if you wanted to have a detailed licensing models here on the portal itself, okay, just navigate to the Azure Active Directory here, and if you come down under a manage, okay, somewhere you can see licenses. Okay, just go to the licensing tab here, and here you could see get started with the licensing management. Okay, so if at all, if you wanted to see the details features, okay, here you could see the licensed features. Just go here, and here you could see what are all the feature which is coming. So directory objects, so object limit is 5 lakhs with a Azure ready free license, no limit for the other licenses. That means object is nothing but, okay, we can create up to 5 lakhs users, okay, within this particular Active Directory. Okay, so it is, there is no limit for the other licensing models, that is premium 1 and premium 2. Okay, and coming to the SSO, that is single sign on. Okay, supports for 10 applications with Azure AD free, no limit for the other licenses. Okay, so we can register up to 10 applications for the single sign-on with the Azure AD free licensing models. Same as, okay, we can also have a additional things here. You can just go through here, and here it is starting from the premium 1 and premium 2. Okay, Azure AD premium 1, Azure AD premium 2. So company branding. Okay, so let's say company branding is nothing but, let's say if at all, if you log into any one of the let's say if you're working for any company, so as soon as you log in, okay, so your company logo will be displayed at the back. Okay, let me walk you through with an example here. Let's say if I enter portal.azure.com. Okay, so as soon as I enter my email ID here, let's say uh, uh, okay, let's say I'll say att.com. Okay, as soon as give my my client email ID, it will walk me through the certain branding page. Okay, so this is how, okay, so it will navigate to the company branding page. So you can have a company's logos here. If you're working for any company, maybe you can just try with your email ID, and you can, it will directly navigate to the company branding page. And you can just pass the password, and you can just click on sign in. It will navigate to your company sign in. So this is called company's branding. Okay, so this feature we can achieve it, okay, by using only premium 1 and premium 2. And we can also enable a multi-factor authentication for the phone and app, okay, which is possible for all the free, okay, available in Azure Ready for Office 365, Azure Ready Premium 1 and Premium 2. And additional details, okay, you can go through in detail here. Okay, so this is about high level about the licensing models. Just remember, on a high level we have a three type of licensing models: free offering, premium 1, and premium 2. And coming to the built-in roles, let me walk you through the some of the built-in roles here. Okay, so let's come back to the portal. Let me close it. I'll close this one. So let me come back to the Active Directory here, and under manage itself you can see something called roles and administrator. If I go back here, so here you could see some of the built-in roles. Okay, so let me quickly duplicate this window. I'll quickly compare your subscription level roles with Active Directory roles. So here I'll go back to the subscription, and under subscription I'll go to the IAM, and here I'll go back to the roles. So whatever the roles that you see it here, okay, on a subscription level, okay, these are all also like inbuilt roles. Okay, like you can have owners, you have a contributor, you have a reader. Okay, these are all inbuilt roles on a subscription level. Same way, we also have some of the roles on a Active Directory level. Okay, so I'll come to this point later. So here you could see some of the built-in roles. Okay, application administrator, what he can do, can create and manage all aspects of app registrations and enterprise apps. We'll talk about this, what exactly this means. Okay, but it is majorly for useful for the developers, okay, to create certain apps and to authenticate Azure Active Directory to any other tools like Azure DevOps or maybe Git or something different. Okay, if at all if you wanted to have a complete access like a owner access on your subscription, we have a role called global administrator here. Okay, so we have a if at all if you want to have a complete access to perform all the activities on Azure Active Directory like a owner access on your subscription, so we have a similar role like a global administrator. So he can manage all aspects of Azure AD and Microsoft services that use Azure AD identities. It's a built-in role, and by having this particular role, okay, you can perform all the activities. If at all if you wanted to grant this particular role to any one of the user, what you can do is you can go to the users tab here, and within the users tab, okay, let's say I have this many users here. Let's say if at all if I wanted to grant this permission to any one of the user, let's say I'll go back to my user, and on my user account, okay, you can see all the details of your user account here. Okay, how many times you logged in using your account, and what are the details, and for every user account having certain object ID. If at all if you wanted to get an object ID of any user account, you can come back and have it from here. Okay, and if I go to the assigned roles, okay, so I think, okay, I myself I assigned this particular global administrator long back, so here you could see it here. Okay, currently I'm having global administrator permission. That means I can do anything. If at all if I wanted to assign myself any other role, I can just click on add assignment, and I can choose any one of the role which I wanted. I can just simply assign it. Let's say I'll go back to the another user. I'm able to perform this, okay, because I'm a global administrator. Okay, if you log in with any other user account, let's say this particular user, if I go to the assignments, this particular user does not have any other roles assigned at this moment. Okay, this user cannot perform all the activities what I'm performing now. Let's say if I click on add assignments, okay, I can just add her as a global administrator. Let's say I'll say global. Okay, I can just click it. I can click on add. Okay, this is how, okay, you can simply assign the roles on the Active Directory level. Okay, and coming back here, so on a subscription level, we have seen how to create a custom roles, right? So some of the roles, okay, if you do not have any custom roles here, we can create a custom roles. But here, if at all if you wanted to do that, so we have to have a Azure AD Premium 1 and Premium 2. Okay, we cannot do it from the free tier. Okay, to create a custom roles, your organization needs Azure AD Premium 1 and Premium 2. So most of the services that you see here on the left hand side, if at all if you wanted to use them, we should have a either Azure AD Premium 1 and Premium 2 capabilities. So we can have a with the Azure AD free trial, we can have very minimal features that can be accessed. Okay, so this is something about the roles, and yeah. Yeah, so these are the details. Okay, let me quickly directly walk you through the directly from the portal itself, because I don't want it to go through here. Let's go back to the portal, and let me start with a overview page itself. So here if you see, okay, so if at all if you have a multiple tenants, okay, so I can just switch on from one tenant to the another tenant, okay, by clicking it here. And if at all if I wanted to create a new tenant, and I can just create a new tenant here. Okay, so by default, okay, when you create a new tenant, okay, it will be like a tenant type will be coming as a default to B2B. Okay, B2B is nothing but a business to business, and B2C is like a business to customer. Okay, so these are the two different tenant types. Okay, if you wanted to help me more, okay, you can just choose it here, and you can walk you through the document here. Okay, so let me close it for now. Let's go with the default as a B2B, and let me go to the configuration page. So here you can give the tenant name. Let's say I'll give my tenant name as Wipro. Okay, this tenant name domain should be unique, okay, across the Microsoft tenants. Let's say if I say Wipro, this name might be already taken. Okay, this tenant name will be coming as wipro.on microsoft.com. And if you see here, this particular name will be already existed on another directory. That means Wipro company might be using this particular name. Okay, whenever you log into Wipro, join any Wipro company, so the tenant name, Azure tenant name might be looking like, wipro.onmicrosoft.com. So this dot on microsoft.com will be coming as a default along with your tenant name or domain name. Okay, your company might be having a domain, like if you are working for a TCS, okay, your company having a domain name like a TCS. And if you are working for any other companies, okay, according to the company standards or maybe company names, you will be having a domain names. So for now, here, okay, I'll say Wipro 6. Okay, let's see. This name is also already in use. Okay, I'll keep it as one more 8 as a random number. This name is also already exist, might be somebody might be already created it. Okay, let's say I'll give some more different number here. Let me try this one. This is also already in use, so let me give some random number. Okay, it has accepted, because okay, this domain name should be always unique. And since we are from India, okay, let me go ahead and quickly choose the region as in India. And here it is. So I'm creating this particular tenant in a India region, and let me review and create it. And this is my organization name, and this is my domain name. Okay, let me click on create. Okay, I think okay, they are keeping certain additional authentications here. Let me complete here. Okay, so this will take some time. So in the meantime, okay, yeah, I think it is done. Validation is done. Let me look at the progress. No, no, it will be in the progress. Okay, let me close it. So once it is created, okay, Fatal, if you wanted to switch back to that particular tenant, okay, you can just click on switch tenant. Okay, when I click on this switch tenant to my email ID, I had an access to these many tenants, because for every you know these things, okay, I will be using the same ID. That's why, okay, so you could see these many tenant accounts I have. So this is the tenant, okay, which we have created just now. Okay, so Wipro 6 for some random number. Okay, if I wanted to switch back to this tenant, I can just choose the tenant. I can just click on switch. So when you switch back to the new tenant, this particular tenant by default should not have any subscription access. Okay, here you could see my email ID and the tenant name. Okay, so if I keep it here, I can see the tenant name as a Wipro, and I can see the domain name at the end, Wipro 65 dot or something. And here if you see, I'm a global administrator and I'm having this particular AD free license, and this is my tenant ID, and you can see the domain name as a wipro dot on microsoft.com. Okay, this is the tenant information you can see. Okay, if I go back to the home page, by default, okay, here I will be not having an access. Okay, whenever you join any organization, right, or maybe if you're working for any organization, maybe directly you can log into the portal, okay, using your office credentials. But when you log into your office portal, by default you will be able to access log into the Azure portal, but it will give you the page like this, saying that welcome to Azure, don't have a subscription, check out the below options. That means you have an access to the Azure Active Directory tenant, but you will be not having an access to any one of the subscriptions, because the subscription access will be granted upon the requirement. Let's say if you are working for a specific project, so upon that particular specific project, what level of permission that you needed, so only that permissions, okay, you will be getting. Okay, so maybe if you're already working, maybe you can just test it your credentials by logging to the portal. It will work definitely, but by default you will be not having an access, right? So this is my new tenant. Okay, so if I wanted to switch back, I can just directly do it from here, or else I can go back here. I can go to the Active Directory, and from here I can just click on switch, and I need to choose my tenant. And here my tenant name here is, this is my domain names. And here, okay, so I think Panala Dixit, yes, this is my default tenant. I am switching back. So this is how, okay, you can create a multiple tenant and you can switch back between the tenants. Okay, so I'm back to the default tenant now. And if at all if I wanted to delete some tenants, okay, I can just click on delete, and it will ask me to delete these. I think it is deleting the default tenant which I'm currently part of. And if at all if you wanted to see what's new, like what are the new updates related to the this particular active directory, you can see here. Let me come back here, tenant which I'm currently part of. And if at all if you wanted to see what's new, like what are the new updates related to the this particular active directory, you can see here directly Microsoft document. Okay, so they have released certain new things, okay, in the April 2021. Let me come back here. Yeah, so you can also see the some of the preview features. So this is something on a high level. If you go to the getting started, so here you could see certain Microsoft document, Microsoft related documents, and you can just walk you through here also. And you can directly see the preview features here. Okay, tenant overview, okay, which is in a preview, and some other features, and how to switch the tenants and all other stuff. And yeah. So anyways, okay, if you go here, so we can see the certain common troubleshootings. And I think okay, they have certain virtual assistance preview. It is in a preview mode, it is not globally available. And you can just have, it is not globally available. And you can just have certain naming cell. Let's say I'll put it here. And okay, so Microsoft will give certain default solutions, okay, by just specifying this particular uh, names. Okay, how it works, Azure multi-factor authentication. Okay, they have given certain document here. Okay, so in addition to that, okay, you can see certain common issues, common problems on active directory level. So these are the common problems you can walk you through. Let's come back to the users. So at this moment, okay, I have the only these users, right? Let's say let me create a few users here for now. Okay, so if at all if I wanted to create a new user, I can just directly go here. And in the meantime, okay, let me walk you through the certain document also. Maybe probably this is the document I have given in the beginning, if you remember, for the PowerShell. Okay, so to use the Azure services, okay, we have install the AG like AG modules, right? If you remember, okay, install icon module AG, right? Same way, if at all if you wanted to access the use the Active Directory level PowerShell related things, you have to install additional modules. Maybe these are okay networking virtual machines we already discussed. Okay, maybe I don't know whether you practiced it or not. Let me come down. Yeah, here you could see Azure Active Directory commands. So if at all if you wanted to use the Azure Active Directory, if at all if you wanted to automate the creation of users, let's say here I'm going to create a one user in manual. Let's say if at all if you wanted to do the same thing using PowerShell, you have to install the module. Okay, install the module Azure AD. Okay, so then you have to connect to your tenant. That is okay, connect upon Azure AD. You have to give the command connect to Azure Active Directory. Okay, so same way if at all disconnect, okay, this is the command. Okay, if you wanted to get the users, all the users, okay, you can see this here. And if at all if you wanted to remove, if you wanted to get a specific user account, okay, by specifying the object ID, something like this, okay, you can get it. And same way if you come down, okay, if at all if you wanted to create a new user, so here you could see the create a password profile. And you can just create a new user password profile, and you can create the new user. Okay, no AD user display name, you can give the display name, and you can give the password, and password name could be something. And this is the basic command, okay, for creating a new user account. Let me come back here. So let me walk you through the portal. So I want you to do it, okay, using PowerShell. If at all if you wanted to use it, you have to install this particular Azure AD modules. So let me create a new user here. Let's say this is for creating a new user, okay, with this particular same tenant ID. But if at all if you wanted to invite certain user who is not part of this tenant, let's say gmail.com, outlook.com, or maybe additional companies users, we will be inviting them. Okay, so here, okay, let me create a same tenant user here. Let's say I'll say my name Ram. Okay, so I'll give the name also, okay, as Ram. Okay, my email ID would be like Ram at the rate of Pannala Dixit. This is the tenant ID, tenant name, that is domain name. Okay, you could see the first name, last name. I would say last name I don't give here. And coming to the password, okay, so okay, you can create your own password while creating it, or else okay, we can generate auto password. So let me show this password, and then I simply copy it, and then I put it here in the browser for now. And in addition to that, okay, if at all if you wanted to assign this particular user account to any groups and roles, okay, we can do it while creating it. So we haven't discussed about the groups, okay, so for now I'm not touching it here. And if at all if I wanted to grant any role, let's say I wanted to grant a global administrator permissions, and let's say okay, I can just choose a role, and I would say global administrator, and click on select. And if at all if you wanted to block the sign in of this particular user, you can just say yes, and by default I'm going with the no. And you can choose the user's location. Let me go with an India, and you can give the certain additional details like what is the job title. Let's say I'll just name it as a consultant, and the department I will give it as a IT, and company I'll just name it as a Wipro. And if at all if you wanted to assign any one of the manager, you can just choose it here, and it will display the all the list of user accounts on your directory. Let's say I will keep the Dixit as my manager. Okay, and let me click on create. So now I just created a user account. Okay, and the user account is, this is the thing. Let me quickly try to log into this user account, and let me simply copy it. Let me open an incognizant window, and let me, sorry, go to the portal.azure.com. Let me put it here. By default, okay, whenever you join any organization, right, so this is how okay your user accounts will be created. And coming to the password, okay, we have an initial password, right? Let me copy this initial password. So when you give the initial password, as soon as you give the initial password, in the next next step, okay, it will ask you to reset the password. So I'm giving some random password here. Okay, let me click on sign in. Okay, so we have seen that password too many times. Oh, is it? Okay, I have given a very big password. Okay, so this I will skip it for now. So there it is asking me to set up the multi-factor authentication, that I will show you later. And if you see, I just created a new user account, and on Active Directory level, okay, you could see the user account name Ram at the rate of Pannala Dixit. This is the domain name actually dot on Microsoft.com. Okay, and by default, this particular user account do not have any subscription access. Okay, so if at all if you wanted to grant a permission, let's go back here, and I'll go to the subscriptions. Okay, so you know how to give the permissions to the subscription, right? If at all if you not, I can just have attention here. I'll come back to the subscription. I'll go back to the IAM here, and here okay, I'll see first okay overall having what access by clicking on this particular role assignment. And if at all if you wanted to access to somebody else, I can just click on add. And if at all if you wanted to give a access, you should have a owner permission first. Let me give a owner permission for this user, because here you could see the assign access to users. I'm giving an access to the user. How to give an access to groups and service principal, we'll discuss in coming sessions. What is my ID here? Let's say Ram at the rate, it will give. Can you see? This is your domain name. Click on it. Let me click on save. So since it is a same tenant account, okay, I can just directly go back here and get my access. If I go ahead and do refresh, can you see? I will be able to have an access. If I go to the subscription now, I am having a owner access for this particular subscription. Okay, this is how we can create a user and we can grant the permissions. Let's say I'll go back to the Active Directory now. So I want you to practice okay creating a users okay by using this particular PowerShell. Okay, for that okay, just open the document which I have said in the earlier, and go back to the 23 page, and here okay you could see the commands how we can install the modules. And then after okay, just go here and try to create the users and try to practice certain these basic commands. Okay, so fine, let me go back to the users again. So I just created one user. Let's say if you have a requirement to create 100 users or maybe 200 users at once. creating them manually one okay at once, okay, it is like a big headache, and you're not good in PowerShell also. Okay, in those scenarios, Microsoft itself is giving a separate solution. Here you could see creating a bulk operation. Okay, guest user is something like inviting any user which is not part of your domain. Okay, let's say anything gmail.com or outlook.com. Whenever you add a user, okay, and a subscription as a gmail.com, outlook.com, so by default, okay, here it is coming as a guest user. That's why you're accepting that invitation on your Gmail accounts. So if at all, if I have a requirement to create a multiple user accounts, here I could have an option called bulk operations. Let's say I'll click on this bulk create. At the same time, I can do bulk invites also, and I can do bulk deletes also. Okay, I can just download the user account details also. Let's say, let me go with the bulk creation now. I have a requirement to create, let's say, 10 user account at once at this time. To achieve it, I can go to the bulk operations, and here I need to download this particular CSV template first. After downloading it, I have to edit it and I have to upload it back. So let me quickly download this particular CSV file at this moment, and I'm just simply opening it. Yes, okay. If you see here, okay, so this is a basic example file, and here you need to have a display name and like username along with a domain name and then password and other details. So let me copy my domain name here. So my domain name here is this is like Pannala Dixit at the rate of on Microsoft.com something, right? So let me copy this entire thing, put it here on Microsoft.com. I think it will be. Let me, yeah. So let me give some names here. Let's say I'll come with some names. Okay, I'll say Vasi. Vasi is the username, and here okay, I need to give the username as like Vasi at the rate of Pannala Dixit dot on Microsoft.com. This is the domain name. Okay, let me copy this domain completely. So this username and password blocking. Okay, I'll go with the same, and let's say I'll give one more username. That is like I have to give the username at the rate of domain name. Let me give few more details. Okay, I'll say Karthik, and I'll paste the domain name. And okay, here I have two at the rates. Okay, and let's say I'll give one more name like a Manasa. Okay, Manasa. I'll paste the domain name, and let's say I'll go with the Dixit. Okay, and give the domain name. Okay, similarly, okay, let's say I'll go with the Siva, and I'll give my additional details. Okay, so likewise, okay, so I need one more name. Let's say I'll take any one of the name as an example here. Let's say I'll take Suma, and sorry. Okay, so I'll say Suma at the rate of six. Now I have created completely almost like 7 user accounts. That is fine. So I need to delete this particular example. There is an example. Delete it. And for this users, okay, I'm keeping the same password. That is my password at the rate of 1234, and I am not blocking any login. If at all, if you wanted to give this additional details like a first name, last name, department, user location, state, country, okay, you can pause it. But since it is a demo, I'm going with the defaults. So let me save this file, and I'm just simply closing it. I'm just saving it, and here it is asking me to save it as a let me save it. Let me go back to the downloads. Okay, so not the text file. I need to save it as a CSV file. Okay, yeah. Let me save it with the same name. Okay, let me save it. I wanted to override it. So user creation template as well may contain the features that are not compatible with the CSV command line. Do you wanted to keep the workbook in this format? Yes. I have made the changes, and I have edited the CSV file. Let me upload it back here. Okay, I'll go to the downloads, and I will open the same file. is not valid, please verify the operation. Okay, I think format is missing, it seems. Unknown CSV header found. CSV file missing required headers. Okay, let me go back here. I'll come back here. Okay, okay, everything looks good, but the format might be something different. To avoid that confusion, let's do one thing. I'll copy this again. Okay, I'll perform this activity once again. I'll download the file again, and this time I'll open this. Okay, here I'll just replace those content. Simply copy it. Okay, so let me save this file and let me. Do you wanted to save the changes? Yes. Okay, let me close this file also. I don't want to save this file. Okay, let me upload it now. Okay, this is the file which I have modified. The CSV file you uploaded is not valid. Please verify the operation type as a CSV file. Okay, so unknown CSV header found, name display required the user. Okay, so let me open this again. Okay, so we are saving it wrong. Let me do one thing. Let me delete it. I'll close it. I'll create a new. I'll download a new file. I'll open it. So while saving it, okay, we are making some mistake. Okay, let's say I'll just simply copy paste of that particular remaining one, and I'll delete this one. Okay, and while closing it, I'll just simply save it, and this also I'll close it. Unknown CSV header phone. Let me see. Am I missing anything? Okay, let me try to delete this one. Let's see. Yeah. Do you wanted to keep the workbook in this format? Yes. Okay, let me close it now. So this time, okay, let me upload it from the different location. Okay, I went into the documents page. I saved it here, and let me open it. So the CSV file do not, you uploaded is not valid. Please verify the operation type and correct CSV file. Let me do everything once again. I think while saving this, okay, so we are making some mistakes. So let me close it. I'll close. I'll you know create a new bulk operation. I'll download the new file. I'll go to the show all. I'll go to the folder. So here, okay, let me copy it, and I'll put it on my desktop. Okay, to avoid the confusions. Okay, here is my file. Let me open it. So here, let me try to give the same names here. I'll go with the two default 2 to 3 names. Let's say Karthik, Okay, and I have to give the domain name. So let me go back to the portal. So this is the domain name. Let me simply quickly copy it. You have to give the domain name itself, okay, for whatever the domain that you are doing. So let me give the same details, and let me delete this particular example one. And this version, I'm not sure to be keep it or not. So for now, let me say I'll do the save as. Okay, I will put it in a CSV format. Is this the CSV format or is available or any other? Okay, we have one more also. Let me do it this way. Do you want to keep the workbook in this format? Yes. Okay, let it be. This I'll come back here. Okay, let me upload it now. I'll go back to the desktop this time. I'll choose the same file. Yeah. So now it is. I'm able to successful because I was saving the CSV format in a different format. My bad. And let me click on submit. So as soon as I submit, whatever the list I have given in the user account details, right? So those user accounts will be created now. Okay. So once it is done, okay. So at this moment, okay, we have given three user accounts. That is Karthik, Vasi, and Ashwini, right? So those details, okay, you could see here at once. Okay. Once this operation is done, if I do refresh, I'll be able to see those user account details here. Okay, it is still in progress. Yeah. Can you see now? Okay. So I'm able to see these, user account details. Okay. So this is how, okay, we can achieve it, okay, if at all, if you wanted to create a bulk users. So this operation is succeeded. Okay, let me close this window, and here you could see these are the accounts are created, right? So just practice till here for today. Okay, so creating a new user account and creating a bulk user accounts, and if at all, if you wanted to delete the bulk user account also, you have to perform the same thing. Go here, download the template file, pass the details of the user accounts, and upload it and back and submit it. Okay, and resetting the password and enabling the multi-factor authentication and deleting the users and this rest other options, okay, we'll see from tomorrow. In addition to that, okay, tomorrow we'll discuss some additional features, okay, and which are present on an active directory level. Okay, so I'll be stopping it here. If you have any questions, we can quickly discuss. If not, let's catch up from tomorrow. Any questions you have? All right, I'll take it as a no. Thank you guys. Have a good day. Let's catch up tomorrow.